Hello students, this is Form 1 Chemistry, lesson number 5, and this is our new topic. The topic is rocks and soil. Rocks and soil. I'm not going to cover the whole topic, but we're gonna just cover some of these lesson topic. Let me show you. Okay. Right here. So we're gonna cover the Big Bang stars, and the sun, the formation of the solar system, the structure of the earth, the rock cycle, and part of types of rocks. The rest will be covered in the third term. So let's start by covering the rocks. So plants and animals live on a rocky planet called Earth. The Earth spins on its axis once a day and moves in an orbit around a star. So as the Earth is moving, it covers this speed, which is 29 kilometers per second, and it is moving very fast. 29 kilometers per second. So from the Big Bang to the sun. So this is this theory scientists use to explain the beginning of the universe. So the Big Bang theory explains the existence of the universe. At the beginning, the universe was an extremely hot white spot with an enormous mass. It then expanded rapidly in an explosion and cooled down. The first elements were formed and were hydrogen and helium. What it means here is that at the beginning, there were only two elements which were formed, and the elements were hydrogen and helium, and these are called the first element. The atoms were drawn together by force of gravity to form a huge gas cloud. The atoms of these hydrogen and helium were drawn together to form a huge gas cloud. In the gas cloud, the force of gravity brought some of the atoms even closer together until they formed huge spheres of hot gas. In each sphere, the force of gravity drew the atoms together, and temperature and pressure became so great and nuclear fusion took place. So in each sphere, the force of gravity drew these atoms together, and that made its temperature and pressure to become so high such that this process of nuclear fusion took place. Nuclear fusion is whereby the hydrogen atoms were converted into helium atoms and large amount of energy were released. Nuclear fusion is like you have so many nucleus being combined to form a larger nucleus. So hydrogen nucleus is a small hydrogen nuclei. These are small nucleus. When you combine them, they form a large nucleus, and which is the nucleus of helium atoms. And in the process, there is energy release. So the energy escaped as light and heat, and the spheres became stars. The energy which was released, it was in form of light and heat. In short, light energy and heat energy. And the spheres became stars. Okay, during nuclear fusion, other elements are also released. This happens when there is no release of energy. If the process doesn't release some energy, hydrogen nucleus, or let me say helium nucleus, are not released. Let me repeat there. During nuclear fusion, if there is no energy release, helium atoms are not produced, but the process ends up releasing other atoms like carbon, nitrogen, sodium, magnesium, just to mention a few. There are so many. So the star may then swell up and form a red giant star, then release gas and dust as a nebula around it. It then shrinks to form a white dwarf star. The very large stars gradually explode and form a supernova and shoot out gas and dust over a wide space. Elements with large atoms like copper, nickel, mercury, lead, silver, tin, iodine are formed. So this is the picture of remains of supernova spreading out through space. Remember, on this statement says the very large stars gradually explode. Large stars, they explode and form a supernova, right, and shoot out gas and dust over a wide range. Okay. So the stars which were formed were divided into three groups. The first group is the first generation stars. The second group is the second generation stars. And the third one, which is the last group, is the third generation stars. So the first generation stars, these are the first stars formed in the universe. After the first expansion, the first explosion, the first stars to be formed were called first generation stars. And the second generation stars, this is the set of stars formed from dust and gases of first red giant. So the first generation stars, we have these red giants and the supernova. Those are the first generation stars. And when these two expand or explode again, they release dust and gases, and these dust and gases are the ones which form the second generation stars. So these second generation stars, they behave like the first stars and produce more of the same element. It's like they produce elements which are similar in terms of mass. And the third generation stars, these are stars formed from dust and gases of the second generation stars. Stars formed from dust and gases of second generation stars. So the gases and dust spread out into space. So it's like these gases and dust, they spread out into space. So this is where the sun belongs. So our sun belongs to the third generation stars. The sun belongs to the third generation stars. So that marks the end of the lesson. Thank you very much.